Hi, I'm Paul Salmon, I'm a psychic medium, and today's guest, I'm happy to say, is Maureen Hinton, the president of the Felixstowe Spiritual Church. Hi Maureen.
Hello Paul.
How are you?
All right, I'm absolutely fine, thank you.
It's lovely to see you.
And you, it's been a long time.
Oh, because we go back a few years.
Yes.
Not a lot, it hasn't been
No.
intense, but
No.
we know each other.
Yes.
And for those who don't know Maureen, what is a spiritualist church?
Well, a spiritualist church is a place really where people can come when some people are bereaved, some people, for all kinds of reasons, they're low. They come into a spiritualist church, and we, the function of our church from start to finish is to give proof of life after life. That's what I like to call it. I'm really nervous today.
You're not nervous. I'm looking after you, Maureen.
Yeah, but that's what we do. That's our main function. I always think that when they come into church, and spirit, you know, the spiritualist church is really about not a great religion of prayers and hymns and all these things, even though we do have them on a Sunday service. But on the whole, what it is, it's how we live our lives.
Yeah.
I always like to think that working for spirit is, we are spirit, and it's how we look after each other in our daily lives.
You're right now, because I used to go, I wasn't a great religious person, but when I go to Anglican church, I come out feeling empty, you know. But my first ever visit to a spiritualist church, it's like someone switched the light on, and I felt it here. And because we have the difference is we have mediums at church, don't we?
Yes.
And like you're saying, proving life after life.
Yeah. But I don't even think it's just that, Paul, because you talk about other churches, and basically I think any church has got a function for its people.
Oh, sure.
And I always think, this is just my opinion, that whatever religion, whatever belief across the world, if it means that we think differently, as in helping our fellow man, it doesn't really matter what our belief system is.
No, it doesn't, not at all. But for me personally,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, you know, just me personally, nothing happened. But this is about you. Let's get back to you. How long's that church been in Felixstowe?
There's been a spiritualist church in Felixstowe for, I think probably 70 or 80 years.
No, has
yes. In fact, here in Gainsborough Road, where we're filming now, there was a spiritualist church, and it was about 27 years ago that I feel that the church here in Gainsborough Road closed down. I wasn't about at that time here. And a couple decided that we should still have a spiritualist church in Felixstowe, and they spotted a lovely little place, and they actually took out a mortgage and bought it. And they were Jill and Jim Statter. They're still around, and they come to church very often. But they gave us the foundation here again in Felixstowe for the church. And so it's been here 27 years, the new spiritualist church.
Right. But you can easily pass it, can't you? Because
Yes.
you know, when I mention spiritualist church to people, they think of big buildings,
Yes.
but it's not, is it?
No, no.
They could be.
You know, the function of that, we started off with the function of the church, and it just reminded me that, you know, when I first went there, which was about 10 years ago, we hadn't got really anything still going. People had got old, or they'd moved, or for whatever reason. And we started doing classes in there for healing and development.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A lot of people, they wanted to find out more. It doesn't mean, you know, that they want to be a medium or they want to be a healer. They're just some people just want to find out a little bit more about the spirit world, or, you know, or just about themselves, what makes them themselves tick. And you know, from these classes, which over 10 years we've had many, people have gone out from the church and they've started their own little healing centres, their own little development groups. And, you know, all we do is we help them to find out about themselves, how spirit could work through them, and they in turn have took that out. And Felixstowe has got quite a following. In our little church we have at least over the course of the week, and bearing in mind how small it is, around about 150 people in and out over the course of a divine service on a Sunday. We have an evening of clairvoyance on a Wednesday. We have healing on a Thursday and private readings on a Thursday.
Yeah.
We have a counsellor in on a Thursday. So people, I think, but that's a different subject and I'm running away.
No, because I was going to ask you, besides the actual service itself, do you do workshops and classes?
We do workshops,
so
we do development classes, yeah. And also, not just at Felixstowe, but in perhaps the last 7 or 8 years, I've got called in to help at the beaches on the Woodbridge, and you would be familiar with that.
Yeah, I would be.
As you was the president, I believe, at one time, before my time.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's all been really brought up to scratch.
I know, I've been back a couple of times.
Yeah,
it's all revamped.
It's all wonderful. And so from there, we do classes there. We do a Saturday evening service twice a month. They do a Sunday service. Every Tuesday they do healing. And again, they do development classes. And it's amazing how many people from all these classes move out of the church sometimes and start up their own. And but it brings a bigger following all around the area.
Yeah, because it is a way of life you take into your everyday life, don't you?
Yes.
And what you give out, you get back. So, and it's good to hear that about the church. Yeah.
You see, a lot of people, the Orthodox Church, perhaps frowns sometimes upon what we do because it's not exactly their belief system. But, you know, people are entitled to be able to go and seek information and beliefs of other people, and that's the function we do. We don't want to sort of compete with the Orthodox churches. We don't even need a church in our belief. It's all within ourselves. We are our own temple.
So in a spiritualist church, Maureen, you accept people from different denominations and different religions. They'll be welcome.
Yeah. You would be surprised. We've got. I myself was brought up as a Catholic.
Really?
Yeah, and we have all kinds of people who come into the church, you know. We don't preach to them, we don't ask them to believe what we believe. We just ask them to come in and you know, if they come to a development group or whether they come to the church service, it's immaterial. We make them welcome, they have a cup of tea, they talk to each other and, you know, they find a lot of comfort. Some people come in and I remember one lady that came and she had lost someone very close to her, and she came in the door one day, and it was funny because it was a class that we'd had to reschedule. So we were there on something like a Thursday and we should have been there Tuesday, but the church was open that particular time. And the door opened as we were sitting for this group, and this lady came in and you could see she was visibly distressed. And so we stopped the group and we talked to her. And from then she started to visit on a regular basis. And she said to me about 2 years ago, she said, you know, Maureen, if that day when I arrived in the church, she said, if you people had not been sat there and gave me so much help, she said, all I was going to do, I felt that I was going to drive my car off the end of the beach. She said, because I was at my lowest ebb in all of my life. It was like, you know, we don't have all these dramatic things, but on that particular day it showed us that we were in the right place at that time. At the right time. She hadn't gone to any of the other churches. She didn't want any great spiritual talk. She just wanted physical help for us to reach out. And we put our arm around her and we just give her that, we do care and we are here for you. But this lady had got a family, and she said it was just because, she said, they were golden, they were supportive, but she just wanted that there was something that she said that I just couldn't find anywhere. She said, and I found it when I walked through these doors.
Oh, what more can you ask?
No, you can't, can you?
Perfect.
And Sorry.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
As president,
Yes.
what is your responsibility with the church, Maureen?
Well, it
Put
comes...
your ego to one side.
Yeah, ego. I haven't got it. I try
I
not to
know
work
you
with
haven't
ego.
got an ego.
But do you know what? It brings its own problems, whatever you're in, doesn't it? As in president or whatever.
I didn't mean put ego to one side. I meant forget about the ego.
Yeah.
Just tell us what you do.
Yeah, because, well, everything from, I'm a medium. I've been a medium since the early 60s.
Yeah.
I'm a healer, a teacher. I'm the minister, so I do the weddings, the naming ceremonies, I do the funerals, I sweep up, I make tea, I do the programming on the... And so it's really a dog's body job. There's no room for ego.
You love it though, you love it, or else you wouldn't do it.
I do love it, and I love the people. Yeah. And I wasn't well last year, you know, and I'd spent about 7 years fundraising and all the different things for our church and for the beaches in Ipswich. And for whatever reason, last year, I suddenly became unwell. And I realised that Spirit wanted me to stand back and accept that, do you know what? Where we give healing, I suddenly felt the healing. And it wasn't about whether I was president, whether I was minister. What it was the people who had become friends of that church, and they sent their support and kindness was absolutely overwhelming. And it was from people who perhaps had only been to a few classes, but I then, it was like they'd switched. I go and sit with people perhaps in the hospice, in hospitals or in their homes when they're sick or dying. But we have to sort of, we can't cry as such with them. We've got to be that strong person. And I didn't adapt last year to being the other kind of side of the fence. And then I suddenly realised, you know, how much and how kind there is people, you know, and people that you would never have expected came along, they sent prayers, they, on our social medias we have now, they sent us their thoughts. I couldn't have been better looked after spiritually. And I could feel that healing.
I've got to tell you, there's a new beginning for you as well.
Oh.
And because I can feel, I don't often get this. When I do interviews, I don't get this.
No?
But I'm getting something, I've just got a new beginning and wonderful.
Wow.
It's going to be good.
Wow.
Yeah, excellent. But you're a medium.
Yes.
Going back, not too long, not too far, were you aware as a child about being aware of spirit, or was it something like me? I didn't realise till I was about 30, this so-called gift.
I was actually speaking to your lady outside while I was waiting, and I was nervous and she was calming me down.
You don't need calming down.
No, you know it. But I don't really remember a time when I hadn't got spirit with me. And I know it's easy to say that because a lot of people say, oh yeah, we had spirit. But I can't remember a time when I couldn't speak to my friends in spirit. Like I said, I was brought up a Catholic and it didn't sit well.
Well, how did it sit with your parents?
I'd only got my mum. But my uncle, who had come over from Ireland to be supportive really of my mum, because she was a widow, and he brought with him his beliefs of the Catholic faith. And so Mum did get interested in that, and she went along, and then she took me. And I think I was about 3 or 4 when I was brought into the Catholic Church. And I learnt a lot from the Catholic Church over the years. But the one thing that I could remember, and I was quite young, was I had an incident where I practically foretold that this lady was going to die along the street. And of course, the next day, I'd said something, in the street. As I say, I was only small. And one of the neighbours came running up to my mum and she said, you know what your Maureen said, Mrs. So-and-so has died. Yeah. So my mum was absolutely horrified. You could imagine it, couldn't you? And my uncle came home from work and she related all this. And he said, it's no good, I've got to take her to the priest. And they said prayers over me, and, you know, as though it was something evil. But all I'd actually said, as later on in the years I was told, I'd actually said, when we were small, not you because I'm a lot older, we called everybody auntie and uncle, whether they were...
I used to as well, yeah.
And and this lady had been a neighbour,
Yeah.
and I'd said, Auntie Lil's mum has come for her and she's going home with her tonight.
Yeah.
And that's all I'd said. But I didn't know that. I didn't
No.
even know, because to me they were so real from the spirit
Yeah.
world. I think as I got a little bit older, I had a real stroke of luck, because there was a lady who lived higher up in the street, and even though Mum didn't believe in spiritualism, she did like this lady, and she knew the lady was very serious of her work.
Yeah.
And she told Ethel, the lady's name was, and she told Ethel about me, and she said, bring her along, she said, and I'll have a look at her. And she said to my mum, she said, you should, if she's going to follow the road of working for spirit, she will. And if she's not, she won't. She said, but the more you try to push her one way, the worse it is. And so I was really left after that to my own devices. And I used to go with Ethel. She used to do the spiritualist meetings.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like now where we've got the phone and can you, Paul, come and work tonight or next week or next month. They would have a letter handwritten, you know, how long the post would take, and then the medium would say, yes, I can come, and then the medium would go on a bus or the train. So as I got older, I would go with Ethel and I would carry her things for her. She was an elderly lady. And I wasn't allowed in the room because some of the services would be in upstairs rooms. Spiritualism then was still not...
It was undercover, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they would have the services in rooms, in houses. Right. But gradually I started to sit in the circle as I got older, and I think I was about 18 or 19 when I was called onto the rostrum.
Really?
So I've been really, really lucky. Yeah. And I know I've never really lost my connections with spirit.
You're saying that, Maureen. Has your technique, for want of a better word, has it changed over the years, your connection?
Yes, it changes, yes, a lot.
Why does that happen, and how does it happen? And
well, I
what's it all
suppose
about?
it's like anything. If I look at a photo of me and my husband, which I've got on the side, we're completely different people now to 50 odd years ago when we met.
Right.
And it's like that with working for spirit. Nothing stays the same. We are all evolving every day, aren't we? And so what you call it a technique, I still call it a craft. It's like some people can be absolutely wonderful at knitting or sewing or whatever their thing. But you fine hone it until you're the best that you can possibly be. It's not saying I'm better than you or better than anyone.
No, it's all about being the best you can be.
The best that I can be, and I can only try every day to make myself a channel for spirit, which they can be proud of. You know, and to do that, we're in a physical body, and that makes it very difficult.
It does make it difficult, doesn't it?
Because we've got all the things that we're no different to anyone else, and so we've got all the. And we get angry sometimes. We can all the different things that happen to us in our daily lives. But through it all, whether it's sadness or whatever, we have to work to being that better person. Because when I was first working, perhaps I didn't take it as seriously as I do now. I can remember I used to go out and do one-to-ones. Which is like a private reading. Maybe all the time when I was young, I'd like to think that I always took spirit seriously. But as you call it technique, I say craft, but I know that how I look at things is complete. I don't do a lot of private readings now. And when I do private readings, I like to think that I use counselling in it and life skills. because every day through my life we've had a big family, and from that you gain lots of experiences.
Well, you're saying that, Maureen, but when I work, I turn into this agony uncle type thing.
Oh, right.
You know, and I end up giving counselling.
Yeah.
But
I think you should be very careful, because with private readings, to me, is a lot of people are vulnerable.
yeah,
Maybe they've lost someone,
yeah,
or as I said earlier, going through an awful time. And so they're vulnerable people sitting before you. And, you know, you have to use care when you're speaking to people. And I went on counselling courses, and I used that with my mediumship. So yes, I have changed from when my earlier days, which is now, as I say, 50 years, to now. I don't do a lot of readings, but when I do them, I do them with a hope that the person, when they leave me, and I won't do repeat readings, I wouldn't have a person come before me every, oh, he told me so well last time, I need to be here. That's not what I'm about.
no,
If I can say to you, Paul, that I've got your grandfather or whoever, your auntie or whatever, whoever, if I can just give you that comfort to know that your loved one, beyond doubt, not because I've said, oh, your uncle wore a flat cap and your granny cooked an apple pie. To me, that's not a reading.
no,
But if I can give you some comfort and tell you something that no one else could tell you, that I couldn't possibly know, then we know that's come directly from Spirit. And we know, or we hope, that you go away knowing that your loved one has survived. And we will all survive, because everyone has come here. Every one of us is spirit. And whether you believe, whether you go to church, whatever you do, we're all going to go back to that same place, which is a great hole of energy. We're going to go back. Our loved one's spirit is not going to die. You know, they are going to be close to us in just almost a parallel world to us. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm really nervous.
I tell you what, it's been fascinating listening to you, Maureen.
Oh.
It really honestly has.
You want to tell my husband that, because he don't.
But before we go,
Yes.
I've got to get one more question in.
Yes.
I don't have to be psychic to realise you're not from Suffolk.
No, I'm not. No.
But just tell us quickly what brought you down this part of the country.
Well, I lived, obviously, as you say, outside of Birmingham, about 7 miles out there in what they call the Black Country. We raised our family there. I think my youngest daughter was about 15. But my husband's family lived in Bury St Edmunds.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so from there we used to have a caravan, rather than all descend on John's mother with our children. We would hire a caravan in Felixstowe first, and then we decided to buy one, and we would have 2 or 3 holidays in it a year. And then suddenly we just had this thing, you know, we're going to move there.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best things I've ever done.
Right.
Even though I love the Midlands and I love
Yeah.
my home, because we had a good living there, we had wonderful friends and family around us. But for whatever reason, I was brought here, and I feel that I've been able to do a lot of my life's work, what I wanted to do here.
I'm just going to tell you, I know you're meant to be here.
Oh, right.
And you're meant to be here today
Thank you.
for me to ask you all
Yeah,
this.
it's absolutely
So-
brilliant. It's lovely, as I said, to see you. I haven't seen you for so long.
Well, I'll see you again soon. I'll come to church again. I've got to start coming to church. Thanks, Maureen. It's been
Yeah.
a wonderful
Thank you.
listening to you, and I know you enjoyed it at home or wherever you're watching this. And thanks again. Hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Paul.